Hello there. The World War III nuclear stakes are edging towards crescendo. North Korea looks set to put its military boots on Ukrainian soil. And why? Because Russia and North Korea are both about to ratify, within days, a new treaty to supply mutual military support if either of them is attacked. And when ratified, it would immediately drag North Korea into the Ukraine conflict, because Ukrainian troops have attacked and invaded part of Russia. The World War III and nuclear stakes have just been notched up, and also include that North Korea has recently been destroying transport and communications links with South Korea, isolating itself from the West. That does not bode well. But what no one seems to be asking, let alone answering, is what does North Korea, or more accurately, Kim Jong-un, get out of this? More technical issues again. Oh well, we'll just have to do our best. Oh, I don't believe this. So, what does Kim Jong-un get out of it? Money or technology to boost his nuclear and conventional arsenals? Now bear in mind that this is what would happen with NATO right now if the decision was taken to immediately allow Ukraine into NATO. NATO would instantly be drawn into direct conflict with nuclear-armed Russia on the side of Ukraine. And now Belarus, that allows Russian nuclear weapons on its soil, and nuclear-armed North Korea. Now that would trigger a very serious situation, wouldn't it? And news is coming out that North Korean troops have been training in eastern Russia in the Buryatia region, with the troops getting the handle of the Buryat Battalion, with initial estimates putting the figure at 3,000 combatants. But the Kyiv Independent reports that one unnamed Western intelligence source is reporting that North Korea has already sent 10,000 troops to Russia. But the Kremlin is saying this is all just fake news. But President Zelensky of Ukraine called it a coalition of criminals, and that Ukraine was now fighting two states. Our intelligence, Zelensky said, has observed not only the transfer of weapons from North Korea to Russia, but also the transfer of individuals. These individuals are workers sent to Russian factories to replace those killed in the war, as well as personnel for the Russian army. So who do we believe? Russia, who says it's fake news, or unnamed Western intel sources and Ukraine press outlets? Whatever the truth, it seems that the West is now in a dilemma. Further increase military support to Ukraine, or pull support right now to stop nuclear Armageddon and force Zelensky to pull out of Russia and sign away the part of Ukraine already lost to Russia, and also never to join NATO. And it really all comes down to whether you think Vladimir Putin would then walk away satisfied with that, or would he want more? Or conversely, whether the West would want Ukraine in NATO and push for it so as to destabilise Russia. And this is all ignoring what's going on in the Middle East right now. Anyway, are both sides really going to keep needling each other until nuclear exchange is inevitable? What would Donald Trump do? And what would Kamala Harris do? Does it all hinge on the US president's election? What do you think, Richard?
our young at the moment in the West, but in Britain and in America, but the young across other parts of Europe and now North Korea are heading towards that meat grinder. And I'm sure you've seen the footage of disabled children, children, young men with learning difficulties, etc., being thrown into this meat grinder, effectively being pulled out of nightclubs, off buses. It's horrific. It's horrific. Young men, just ordinary young men as well, being pulled off the street and asked to go to war with Russia. And I'm sure the inverse is happening as well in Russia, that young men are being dragged into this war as well. Terrifying. Terrifying. I mean, is it just, so many people have a side on this. I can't take a side on this. The only side I take is the people who will end up standing there with a Kalashnikov in their hand and terrified, wanting to go home to their mothers and their wives. That's what really terrifies me. Yes, look, Putin's done some bloody awful things, and so has Zelensky. Do I trust either of them? Yeah, okay. I certainly don't trust Zelensky. As for Putin, do I trust him? No, I don't trust him. But do I trust any of our Western leaders? No, I don't. We've got this. We have to realize there is something called the military-industrial complex, and it wants war, okay? Whichever side comes out on top, it is completely irrelevant. The fact is, there is a machine at play which makes money on this, and it makes a lot of money. So I don't know how I feel about this. I was reading as well in the Telegraph that North Korea now has amassed enough nuclear, not in the Telegraph, sorry, in the Independent, North Korea has amassed enough weapons-grade nuclear material to more than double its existing pile of atomic weapons. Okay, fantastic. I feel really safe with that. Yeah, so he already has, John Un, he already has between 80 and, known 80 and 90 nuclear warheads. He could double that. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, not good. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, the real problem here is, of course, that if things do get more intense, shall we say, then what will the West do? Will they have to start looking at their youngsters and say, well, we need to fill our ranks? And where will they get those from? Will they be raiding nightclubs? Will you go out on a Saturday night and end up in the barracks in the morning with a hangover?
Oh, yeah.
That's I don't think that's quite where we're at the moment, but it's when your young men or supply of young fighting age men starts being depleted that you suddenly find you need lots of young fighting age men to defend your country. And they become very scarce very quickly as they go into hiding, some of them. Only, if you're a patriot, you'll come out fighting. But what do you feel about that at the moment, given our uniparty establishment governments who go around basically denigrating anybody who's a patriot?
Yes, would I fight for Great Britain right now? I'd fight for my family and for my local area, probably. Would I fight for Great Britain right now were it under attack? Yeah, I suppose I probably still would. But
would they be able
a certain level of reticence behind that? Because at the end of the day, what has this country become? What is it? It's not like you don't fight to protect the country which sustains you as well. All of us are sustained by this country. The trouble is we've already got an internal war going on right now. We already have an invasion type scenario taking place right now within our own borders.
Very sectarian thing. Yes,
it
is.
I'm talking about the invasion of field mice, of course. I'm not talking about anything else.
The field mice. Yeah, of course.
Field mice. Yeah. Anyway, so fight for Britain. How can we ask the youngsters today? You're looking at a generation that has been told, if you're a white young male, you are the lowest of the low. That's what our society has told them. And now we want you to come and fight for Britain or for whatever war Britain deems you worthy of dying for. Okay. And it's a great shame, because this is going to reduce army recruitment and military recruitment. But we're living in a very different era as well, when our soldiers have a very different role, because we have drone warfare now, and that's actually terrifying. I don't know if many of you seen some of the footage of these small drone attacks taking place in Ukraine and in Russia. It's awful. You see these pitiful young soldiers, young men, barely hitting their 20s, and they're cowering. They can see that drone coming towards them. They know what's going to happen. It's pretty dark. It's a pretty dark world we're living in.
Yes, it is. And that's what warfare is, dark. And that's why people wage it, because they know that one side or other is going to win. And if you're the stronger side, you're going to win and impose your will on the other side and impose, their standard of living. You're going to be deciding what they pay you to stay safe. It's a massive sort of, I don't know, what do they call it? A protection racket, I suppose. But we've let our defences go. And what we should be doing is thinking about these islands and defending them. How do we defend them? And I'm not sure we're going around about it in the right way. Anyway.
Well, could we defend ourselves from Vladimir Putin right now if he was to invade?
Well, he'd have to get a long way here to invade. And I'm not sure he really wants to go that far. I don't know what his plans are. See, no one really knows.
What shape is our Navy in at the moment?
Not very good, I wouldn't have said. No. And there's plans for the future, these plans, that plans. But as we all know, defence is not high on the government list, because most people think that defence is being looked after by the government, and all they need to worry about is their benefits or their pension or prices right now, because every government, of course, is looking well into the future to look after our defence and our infrastructure, like our energy, our schools. No, they're not, are they? They're not looking ahead. Our politicians aren't looking ahead beyond the next election. Right now, the Tories don't care what happens until they've decided whether it's going to be Badenoch or Jenrick. They don't care beyond that election. Then they'll be looking at May's elections. They won't be thinking about the future, nor will Labour.
Yeah.
Labour's just thinking about the fallout from the October budget when it comes along. We have no statesmen in this country. None. Zero. Zilch. They're on the take. They're on the give me the gear. I want to go and see a Taylor Swift concert. I want her in blue lights so it makes us all look important. I just don't understand all this. Why can't they think ahead more than the end of their ruddy noses for once? Anyway, that's enough ranting from me.
Just looking at North.
I've just got to say, apologies for the initial blanking out of Richard when the screen went blank. I'd forgotten to press a button. So once again, to bring us both into the picture. That was sorted pretty quickly anyway. So we're both here now.
Indeed we are.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking back at what it says here about North Korea. Something you mentioned earlier is that North Korea is blowing up the roads effectively and communication with South Korea. They're not doing this for no good reason.
No.
There is a reason why they're doing this. And this looks like we are edging towards a third world war. That is quite frightening. It is quite frightening. Just look what's happening globally. But again, does this all seem like a heck of a coincidence that everything's kicking off in all these countries at the same time?
Yeah.
Call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't care. Call me Deirdre. I don't care. Anyway.
Hello, Deirdre. Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, that was a quick morning update on the pressing news of the day as we see it. And we think that World War III, the potential thereof, is quite pressing.
Should we go to some of the comments here, actually? We should take a little look at the comments here.
Yeah.
Let's have a little look-see.
This is interesting from Shield Maiden. My boys' school had a careers evening. The busiest staff was the Army careers. Kids are interested. Now, that is a heartening thing to hear, because everywhere else I've read that people are getting, that they can't get people in. Well, a part of the problem actually is the recruitment process. They've taken all the Army, Navy, and Air Force recruitment shops off of the streets, where you could go in to get careers advice, and the first thing you know, please just sign here to say you're happy to take a cup of coffee, and you're in. That's what we need. We need them back out there interacting with the public. The armed forces need to be there. They need to be seen, and need to be seen as important. If they're not, then it just fades. But it's really heartening to read that. I really will. That's really good news.
Yes, and a good comment here from Nobody. Fight for the system that wants you to disappear. Yeah, that's exactly how.
Yeah,
that's how a lot of people feel right now. That this system doesn't want us. That we are effectively being replaced as it stands. Where you have a certain demographic where more of them have fought for, let's say, unsavory organisations than have fought for the British Army or standing in the British Army right now. It's quite terrifying.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, this is this thing. Always the innocent that suffer. Sickening. Yeah. This is the price we pay for being part of a civilized society, when we all pay tax, or most of us, or some of us do pay tax, put it in so that others can take out and benefit. And at the end of the day, if the state is under threat, all of us and the people, then some people have got to step forward and put themselves at risk for the majority. And they're usually the ones that have had absolutely nothing to do with setting up all the rubbish in the first place. You do know that war is just a continuation of political aims, and it comes about when politicians fail, when they've come up against a brick wall, won't turn back, won't turn round, won't go left or right, and insist on going forward. That's when conflict starts. That's when armed conflict starts, when politicians fail. Sad.
Another good comment here from Grim Reaper. Keir Starmer will gladly send the young men to their death. I think he already has done that with some of our political prisoners.
Yes, I think, well, potentially.
If not to their death as yet, then he's definitely sent them to a place which is not good.
Yeah, definitely.
That winds me up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
yes,
don't let your kids become cannon fodder. Yeah, it's very difficult, that one. If you have a fully cohesive society where the government is actually doing what the people want, and everybody believes in the country, loves the country, and will do what they can to help the country, then armed forces work extremely well because it's integrated and part of it. Where at the moment we're importing conflict, which divides us all. So who's going to fight for who and where and when? And the last thing we actually need is some small army inside the UK who's fighting against us in the UK while our armed forces are abroad trying to defend the country.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, as far as army recruitment goes, I think that the emphasis maybe should be placed on building an army, because you always see these advertisements for the army, the British Army and the forces, the Navy, the Air Force, etc., and they're always in some foreign country, in some swamp with, a gun in their hands. Yet they don't hardly ever show them, just standing there on the cliffs of Dover.
Yeah. Well, actually,
I think that would be more of a recruitment drive, because if people thought that to protect this land, that I don't know. But then again, if as soon as they strap that gun around themselves, it's not them who decide how that gun is used. At the end of the day, it is the politicians who decide and the generals who decide.
And that brings me on to the subject. And that brings me on to the subject of a swamp. Now, I can think of a very big swamp our armed forces could deal with. Can't you?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah,
3 weeks to Trump, or 1776. Interesting. That's what West is saying. This is going to be the longest 3 weeks of my life, and I'm not even kidding. It is at least 3. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be an eternity waiting to see what the outcome of that US election is going to be. But then you've still got to wait, haven't you? Because he doesn't actually. How long does it take? It's January, isn't it, when the actual handover occurs? And you just wonder what Biden and Harris will be doing in the meantime, don't you? Until January.
Biden, he'll be sipping hot milk in a nursing home. That's what he'll be doing.
Yeah.
So very good comment here from I haven't got my glasses. Katrina Cross. Please pray for our country 5 minutes each day before sleep. We can turn this situation by prayer. I couldn't agree with you more, Katrina. God bless you. That's very true. And I'm trying, as I said last night, on around 7 o'clock, just have a pause in the middle of a live stream, just have a little pray for those people who are being held as political prisoners in this country. This is a very real situation. You'll find a lot more about this coming out, I believe, in London on the 26th of this month. So there'll be a lot more said about that then. But yeah, we have a very, very difficult situation. We need prayer. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Well, I don't digress. It's very important, that is.
Anyway, here's a nice sort of tongue-in-cheek one. Don't worry, the UN will solve all our problems. They will be our saviors. The people will fall for it. Well, I'm not so sure I wouldn't fall for it. The UN, as in what's happening in various parts of the Middle East, sort of don't seem to be helping the situation much. They seem to be doing more to egg it on than stop any conflict. So, yeah, I'm not so sure about the United Nations at all. I've been in a UN peacekeeping role years and years and years ago.
I've seen the photo.
You've seen the photo, yes, yeah, the photo. But yeah, it was interesting role. But you do a 6 months on, and then you do a 6 month period, and then off you go. Well, that was what we did in our day. So, and then you did a turnover. So there was no long term sort of knowledge on the ground, really. I don't think you had to pass it on by paperwork to the next battalion or the next people that turned up, and just get on with it.
Yes. Well, I think we've covered quite a bit there.
Anyway, we intended to make this one a short one, but it seems to have gone on a little bit longer than we planned. However, it's really nice to see everyone up and about in the morning. So we'll catch you later. And thanks very much for watching. Goodbye from me.
And yes, we're off.